Right. Hello and welcome to another episode of Healing Conversations. My name is Einav, and with me today, Sally Purcell. Sally, hello.
Hi, Anu. Thank you very much for having me here today. It's really good. It's actually quite fun.
Yes, absolutely. I'm really pleased you're here today. And the topic of conversation we chose for today is living on purpose. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so basically, I've spent a lot of my life traveling around the world, and it started off way back in 1989, where I was 20, and I went to Israel, and I absolutely loved it, and I spent 15 months there. And then I went back home. I'm actually from South Africa, so I ended up back home in South Africa. And then a friend of mine said to me after a few months, "Why don't you come to London?" And being at that time 21, it was like, "Oh, okay, let's go to London." So I sold my car that I had at the time, and then I got on a plane and I went to London. But I didn't have any. Reason to go. I just went. It was just like I started. I set up this thing in my life where I um, would pick a destination and pack up my household and then just go. But I didn't have anything to do when I got there. So that it was like I had this goal that I'd set up to pack up and move. But when I got somewhere, I just didn't know what I was doing there. So I ended up going backwards and having to pick up the pieces and start all over again. And that kind of set up a tone. It set up a tone for my life. And that's what I started doing. I didn't know it at the time. I wasn't deliberately packing my things and going. It was just like I would get to a point where I think I felt like I needed something. I needed excitement in my life. I needed to, be able to get up and go and do something because life just became routine and mundane, and we were doing the same old every single day. And I think this went on for about almost 30 years. And eventually, it takes its toll, especially when you're
Mm.
getting on in your age. So I'm now living in Scotland on a small island off the west coast. And a couple of years ago, it was before about 7 or 8 months before we actually, no, it wasn't then, it was during lockdown.
Mhm.
After spending 4 months sitting at home and thoroughly enjoying being at home and enjoying the freedom of, being able to do the gardening and refurbish my house and just, just chilling, basically having fun on my own terms. I actually realized that I'd set up this pattern of moving and moving forward one step, moving back three steps, moving forward again one step, and it just actually had to stop.
Mhm.
And so then I started getting involved in self development and personal development and personal growth and figuring out who I am and what I like doing. And along the way, I just realized that you've got to have a sense of purpose in your life. You've got to wake up every morning and feel like you're doing something on purpose. Feel like you're living on purpose. And I think that to me is a big thing because it just it brings order to your life, basically. Because I just find that if you wake up in the morning and you've got no direction, where are you going to go? But if you've actually got a direction and you've got something to look forward to, you can focus your thoughts and streamline your days and move forward and actually live every single day like it's the only day and it's the best day. So that's basically where I'm at.
And
That's
that's
how I got to
amazing.
where I got to.
But this is really incredible because so often I think people feel exactly what you were describing, that
Yeah,
what is the purpose, what is it that I'm meant to do in this life, right? People
yeah,
just, it's just automatic, right? It's just what I did yesterday I'm going to do today, and what I'm going to do today I'm going to do tomorrow. There's
yeah,
nothing that differentiate one day from the next.
exactly,
And then
exactly.
what you're saying now, actually, we can turn it all around and we can say, no, even if I don't necessarily know my purpose or what it is that I'm doing here in the bigger scheme of things, there's got to be something that I can do to start getting in that direction. And actually putting the intentions and the focus changes everything.
Yes. Well, I don't think that we have one set purpose in life. I think your purpose changes.
Right.
As you grow, as you go through life, as you grow, as you age, your purpose actually does change. So I've been a mother, and I've been well, I am a sister, I'm still a mother. But those kind of things, you have specific purposes at the time, but you've got to you basically live whatever purpose you're living at the time, that's true to you. So that's another thing that I've spent most of my life doing, is living my life according to everybody else's wants, and what everybody expected of me, never what I expected of myself. So I've never actually had that chance to figure out what I expect of myself and how I want to live. So I think that you know, having a sense of purpose is doing something that aligns with who you are and what you truly love doing. But you do it in accordance with what you value about yourself and what you believe about yourself. And then you move through your days like that. But actually waking up, I mean, I plan my days every day now. I've got a set of journals that I've created,
Mhm.
and I've got a planner, and I literally sit there and I plan my days so I can move forward and do everything that I want to do during the course of the day. Some days doesn't always go according to plan, but most of the days I do try my best to, just do what I've set out to do. And then I can sit at the end of the evening and I've achieved something. And then I felt like I've actually lived my day on purpose.
Right.
Um, yeah.
And so tell me a little bit more about that time when you realized that actually you wanted to do things differently, that you wanted to bring in this focus and purpose. How did you go about realizing that, that maybe you were not living according to your values and what you appreciate in life? What happened around that time?
Okay, so it was basically during our first lockdown.
Mhm.
And I just moved into, I'd moved to Scotland around, oh gosh, 2019. It was end of August 2019, and I moved to the specific island because my mom lives here, and we haven't lived in the same country for 30 years, and I just thought it would be nice to get to know my mum.
Right.
And so it ended up. I was actually going to go to London, but I ended up moving here, and I got a job, and I was working at a resort, and I wasn't after a few months, I wasn't overly impressed with the change in, going from working Mondays to Fridays, normal hours, to doing shifts, and then I just felt like my whole life I was losing control of everything. And then we went into lockdown, and like I said, moved into this new place. And for the first 3 months now, the summer that we had in Scotland that year was phenomenal. We were outdoors every day. It was just brilliant. So I refurbished the house, the garden furniture. I redesigned the garden. I landscaped the garden, and I did that over 3 months. And then the last month, I had nothing to do. So I was sitting on my couch watching TV every day, playing games on my mobile phone every day, and I, I just became this vegetable, and I just realized, no, sorry, this is not what life is about.
Yeah.
And because I'd delved into the powers of the mind before, my journey started about 20 years ago, when I got into Louise Hay, and then as the years evolved, I started studying with John Kehoe and Dr. Joseph Murphy's work, and so I had the material, and I decided, no, I'm going to go and dig out my material because I've got to start changing what's going on in here.
Mm.
And I did, and then I got onto the computer, and this woman appeared on my screen. You know who she is. And
I'm
yeah,
guessing it was Sheila.
sorry, Sheena, yeah. Sheena, if you're listening, you're in our thoughts. And she introduced me to thinking into results, and I'd heard of Bob Proctor before, and it all just made sense. It just made sense for me to start going on the inside and start working on the inside, and not looking to everything out there to bring me some sort of gratification, which at the end of the day, it wasn't doing that. So So
Mhm.
that's basically when it was. It was August 2020. I can't tell you the exact day, but it was it was August 2020. And then as I started getting into thinking through results, and then I was doing John Kehoe's Mind Power as well. I think he's phenomenal. He's very good at teaching you discipline with his work, and I love his work. I think he's brilliant. He goes really deep into mind power. So I just got stuck into all of that, and then one thing led to the other, and then I won a free 6 month mentorship with Peggy McCall, and that was phenomenal because her teachings taught me more about believing in myself and believing in the not so much the power of the mind, but believing in the power of faith. I know belief and faith kind of tie in hand, but to believe and have that faith that what you are putting out there is somehow materializing in the external world and bringing everything to you. And
Mhm.
this is the material that I'm absolutely passionate about. I can talk about it all day. I absolutely love it. Um, so yes, so through my journey of self discovery, inner discovery, learning about the powers of the mind, I became very disciplined in my morning approach. So I'd get up every morning and I was doing my work, I was doing my study, I was writing my affirmations, doing my gratitude, and I ended up creating a series of journals at the same time, all based on this. So they're not just lined journals; they've got quotes in them, and they've got inspirational messages and instructions on how to move forward. So it's like a little mini series, but it's available on Amazon. So,
Yeah,
and things have just been evolving since then. I am creating another one at the moment, a Quantum Leap Journal, and I absolutely love doing it. I've always been creative with working on um, computer packages, Excel, Word, all that, and I love putting together this kind of thing. So it just makes sense for me to continue on that journey. And also, I'm going to be offering workshops as well.
yeah,
So it's also living on purpose workshops and designing your own life and moving forward with that. So everything's kind of evolving the way I want it to evolve. And then I've also got this huge, big plan um, further down the track. So that's something I'm also working on. But
amazing,
it's
amazing.
a phenomenal journey. It's really, a, yeah, it's just a phenomenal journey.
Yes, and how beautiful it is, isn't it? That actually you can see the change from sitting on the sofa and realizing that that life just happens, to actually
Yeah,
turn around and say, I don't like that. I want to put more purpose and focus in my life, and here it
yeah,
is. And now you have all of these, the journals, and of course the one that you're working on, and all of these other plans. But
yeah.
maybe share with us a little bit more about each of the journals, because I've seen them and they look phenomenal, and I would love for whoever is listening to get to recognize, to know the journals, but also to see how they might be able to use it if they choose to purchase them.
Okay, definitely. All right. So do you have them all here? So for me, the start is the vision,
Hmm.
and it's deciding what you want. And it's not always the easiest thing because when you sit down and decide what you want, it's all these different things start coming to you, and then you think, well, how can I have that, and how's that going to happen, and how's this going to happen, and
Yeah.
because everybody wants to know how it's going to happen. But when you start getting into the material and understanding that it doesn't matter how, because when you focus on something and you focus on it enough times, you'll start getting ideas on how to implement it, and then you move forward with those ideas. So the very
Hmm.
first thing I created, well, it's not actually the first thing I created. The first thing I created was the affirmation journal. But then I
Okay.
decided, and the gratitude journal, but I decided to make the vision journal as well. So this is the vision journal, and if you can see that,
Yeah. Live your dreams, vision journal. Yep.
yeah. So that's the vision journal, and what you've got inside is you've got basically instructions on. Can you see that?
Yep.
So all the journals have instructions on what to do. So
Right.
that's basically, it says my vision, my life at the top. And then it tells you, the process to go through to, to figure out what it is you want. And it doesn't have to be some big, massive thing, you
Hmm.
know. It's what you feel in your heart. That was the biggest thing for me. It was for what I feel in my heart. And I'm still working on that big one. But that is the way I see it. Is for me initially I just wanted peace. I wanted some peace in my body and calm in my mind.
Right.
And yeah, so that's okay. So that's the instructions on the front, all right. And then when you get to the next page, I've got here, it says paste a picture of yourself in the space below and say hello to the person who is responsible for your happiness and your life. So yes, so that's just a little picture of me, but that is the person who's responsible for my happiness. And then I've got a segment here for you to write out your ideal life. And
Hmm.
then on the next page, the vision journal is divided into 13 different segments. So you can work on your well-being, you can work on your career, your business. If you want a dream car, there's about 10 or 11 pages in each section where
Right.
you paste pictures, write out how you feel, how you would feel. Let's just say you want a dream car, okay? Because that's just the easiest thing to think of at the
Yeah.
moment.
Sure.
So I'm just finding a section I haven't worked on. But you know what I do, Einav? I read it like a book.
Yeah.
So you've you've got here. Sorry. Okay. So this is basically the start of a section. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then you just write over there what you're working on. And then you've got a space that to put your pictures. So you've got that space there for your pictures. And then you've got a space here um, where you can write your affirmations over there, and then you write your I am statements over there.
Yeah.
And then I've got here any notes that you want to write down, and then bursts of inspiration. So, sometimes, excuse me, when you're contemplating your goal or you're contemplating what it is that you want, um, sorry, excuse me, it's getting excited. When you're contemplating what you want, and you get this burst of inspiration and you just write this one word. But I color things in. I make them bright, I make them big, I make them bold and beautiful because you are creating something that you want. You want to get into the whole feeling of having that thing in your life. So that's your vision journal. And the reason why I've done the vision journal is because you can put it in your handbag and you can take it. So if you're taking a tube to work, or you're on a bus to work, or you've got 5 minutes to spare in between something, you just take the vision journal out and you read something from it. So it keeps you in that vibe. It keeps you in that vibration of being in that space that you want.
Yeah.
I also put in there, if I'm reading a book and then there's something in there that inspires me, I'll go and write it in my vision journal, because then when I'm out and about, instead of taking my vision journal and my book and my planner, I just take my vision journal with me, and then that's it for the day.
Mm. And the
So the
thing,
next one is the affirmation
I,
journal.
I just want to say about the vision one that it's actually, it's really interesting because when we think, a lot of the time we think actually we don't know what we want, we just know what we don't want. And
Yes.
we go through life like that. I don't want to be this, I don't want to be that, I don't want this to happen. But actually what you are describing is the opportunity to sit down and think, actually, what is it that I do want?
Yeah.
And it's so difficult to say I want something and not to immediately think, but how am I going to get it? It's not realistic, it's not practical, it's not, and then we talk ourselves out of this. But actually, what you're saying is exactly the opposite. Have this
Yeah.
idea and trust that you're actually going to, that the ideas will come up, the opportunities will show up, all of these things. So
Yeah.
when you're writing it down, and as you say, you're describing your emotions, and what you're going to see, what you're going to feel, when you're going to get that thing,
Yeah.
it opens up everything. So it's so powerful to have this kind of well, like a mini journey that you go in the journal as you are
Yeah.
progressing writing this in. So this is, I really hope that everyone understands how powerful this is, because when you get excited about what you really want, this is how we open up the conversation,
Exactly,
right, with the universe.
exactly,
Amazing.
exactly. And it does, because if you, like I say, if you're going through your day and you've just got that 5 minutes to spare, and I've literally, I mean, I don't want to show you exactly what I've got in mind, but I've literally got like pages of
Yeah.
notes, and that's my journals, and
Oh, that's
various things
beautiful.
underlined and highlighted, and it just inspires me during the day to focus on what it is that I want. And I just, well, I think it's phenomenal. I really
Yeah,
do.
I agree. Right. And the next one is the
Um,
affirmation. Is the next one?
next one is the affirmation journal. So they're all basically the same,
Okay.
and well, not the same on the inside, but the affirmation journal has got a space in the front for you to write your goal. It's like that, so you write your goal there, and then it's also got a space at the back, I think, in this one. Yeah. So you've got the what is my why? So why am I going after that goal? So
Mm.
what is the reason for me to do that? What's it going to make me feel? How's my life going to improve? What is my why? My biggest why is my family, my son. So everything I'm doing is it, it's actually phenomenal how much I've learned through this process that I've now passed on to him, and I can actually see his mind ticking over and thinking about what's going on. And, that's the biggest thing. I wasn't necessarily emotionally around for him when I was raising him. And if I'd known this material back then, it would have been so different. But I still have that opportunity to help him in a different way. And he is basically my why. He's the reason why I just, yeah. Anyway,
This
so
is really beautiful. I really
sorry.
thank you for sharing. I think it's really beautiful, and thank you for sharing that, because it's another thing to recognize where we are at the moment and be able to not beat ourselves for whatever we did in the past, but recognize that we're here for a reason and things are the way that they are at the moment for a reason. So
Yeah,
now you
yeah,
are able to give what maybe you couldn't give before, but what you're giving now is so much
yeah.
more profound, and now is the right time for him to receive it. So, and that is so
Well,
beautiful.
exactly. And, I think it's so important for him to understand that there's so much more out there than just getting up every day and doing one thing for the rest of your life. And I know he's still young, and his life will evolve and change. But with the right understanding and knowing that information earlier, I think will make a big difference.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it tugs at my heartstrings because he lives in Australia.
Right.
Um, So the affirmation journal is literally, it's like a little workbook. I think these are all like little workbooks, but when you work them together, they're very powerful.
Mm.
So you've got and they all revolve around 90 days. So it's a 90-day process. Um, so the affirmation journal's got 2 days. It's got one day over 2 pages. So once again, you're writing your goal. So you're connecting with your goal. You're writing out your affirmations that are in
Mm.
alignment with who you are becoming
Yeah.
with that goal. And then at the end of it, you've got your goal. You write your goal out again. So it's all about emotionally connecting with your goal. All the journals are to help you emotionally connect with your goal. And then both the affirmation journal and the gratitude journal have got quotes on the bottom. So they've got quotes on the bottom of each page. I don't know if you
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one says, be around people who motivate and inspire you to keep moving forward. How appropriate is that? And
Mm.
then after every 10 days, there's all for notes, ideas, and inspirations, and for writing them down somewhere. And with these journals all in one place, it doesn't matter if you've written it down in your vision journal, your gratitude journal, or your success planner, you'll know it's in one of those books.
Yeah.
And then you've also got a little motivational um, piece after every 10 days. So this one basically says about your imagination. Um, and it says here, imagination is the ability to form mental pictures on the screen of your mind. It is the starting point of all creation. And then I'll just go on to explain a little bit more about that. And then um, after day 20, you've got some motivational blurb about visualization. And then you've got some notes about thoughts. Nurture your mind with great thoughts, for you will never go any higher than you think. So it's really like a little mini
Yeah.
self at home self study that you can buy on Amazon, and you know, maybe half an hour in the morning, 45 minutes in the morning, just to spend focusing on yourself.
I just want to say again, with affirmation, why affirmation are so important is that basically with affirmation, affirmation is obviously positive words that we say to ourselves, and we're able to change how we actually think about
Yeah,
ourselves or about something, a topic of, that is in our minds. But the reason
yeah,
why affirmations are so powerful is because they're overriding this, negative state that we are in, or even it doesn't have to be negative, but it overrides whatever states we are at. Because the idea is that our subconscious mind is subjective, right? So it gets commands from the conscious mind. So
yeah,
when we say, and it can only hold one command at a time, and that command, the current command, is the truth. So when we say affirmation, is basically saying this is the current truth, and this is what it's like an instruction for the subconscious mind to start working on this affirmation. And what is so brilliant about what you're doing with this journey, the journals that are 90 days long, right? It's basically you get started, and even if you don't actually believe in what you're writing, the command is still what your subconscious mind is working on, and then
yes,
you're repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. So you are creating this reality for yourself. So
yeah,
even if you didn't have it before, or maybe it was feeling a little bit diluted, as you go through it, and as you are continuing, you are strengthening this belief uh, of what is going on, and the subconscious mind, because it got this command, it knows what to work on. So
mm,
it really is creating your new reality. And with
yeah,
the motivation and the inspirational quotes that you are having, it really helps to keep you in that, raised vibrations of excitement and positiveness. Is that the word? Of where you want to go. So this is phenomenal. I'm really enjoying this.
yeah. It does say in the instructions at the beginning of the affirmation journal. It says there, affirmations help you rebuild your inner dialogue and are a powerful and effective way of reaching the subconscious, and through repetition, reprogram your beliefs. And I certainly have had a lot of experience with that, not
Yeah.
only in reprogramming certain beliefs about myself, but it was way back in 2006 where I started writing out this little Louise Hay blurb about finding a new job. But I
So say
wasn't
it again
conscious.
about what?
She, you know the Louise Hay book, You Can Heal Your Life.
Yeah.
So, and she goes through like success, prosperity, work, relationships, and so on. And I wrote out one of her affirmations that she has in the book. It's maybe about 10 lines, but I
Right.
did that religiously every day, at every moment I could get. And I think it was within 6 weeks to 2 months, I'd received a call from a company who I didn't even know, who had found my CV in a batch of resumes that were sent to them through a company that I hadn't sent my resume to. And she asked me if I would be interested in a position there.
Mhm.
And that was on, I think, the Monday or the Tuesday. I kind of said to her, I need to think about it because the location didn't gel with me initially. So I looked it up in the map book, because in those days we had map books, not Google Maps or whatever.
Mm.
And I phoned her back and I said, fine, I'll come for the interview. So I went for the interview on the Wednesday with her, and it was just amazing. Everything felt so easy and natural. On the Friday, I went and met the boss. On my way back to my other job, I got a phone call from them saying, great, we'd like to offer you the job and at the salary you want. And at that stage in South Africa, it was about 6 or 7 thousand rand more than what I was currently earning.
Mm.
So it was just, it didn't even gel with me that what I had done until a few years ago when I got more involved with how the mind works and how our vibrations work and how reprogramming our minds and it actually does have an effect. So that was quite a phenomenal journey for me. I just look back at that every time I'm thinking, oh, this isn't working. This isn't. I know. Just remember what happened then.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Sure.
so it's really good.
Yeah.
So the next journal we've got is the gratitude journal, and it's the same. We've got in the beginning, you've got your instructions. So I've called it my gratitude experience. So it's just written down and it gives you an idea of what you need to do and why gratitude is so important.
Mm.
Because basically, gratitude raises your vibration, it gets you into a
Yeah.
good feeling space. And I know that it can be sometimes tricky to get into the practice of writing gratitude every day, especially if you're going through a bad patch. But it's actually the best thing you can do because the first couple of days might feel a little bit awkward, but as you're moving along and you start focusing on the things around you, and it doesn't have to be a big, massive thing either. I'm grateful for my cup of coffee every morning. I love it. It gets me going, and I absolutely love the taste.
Yeah.
Or for a fantastic night's sleep. But what I like to do is I like to write gratitude for the things that are currently in my life, things that I've experienced in the past. And then I also like to put gratitude out there for things that I'm expecting to come my way. It just makes you feel good. It just raises your vibration and really gets you into the energy of um, feeling good, just lifting
Yeah.
you up, having sparkly eye syndrome. That's what I like to call it, a sparkly eye syndrome.
And I think it's very interesting. Gratitude absolutely raises your vibrations, but it's also because we are so much in the habit of thinking, right? So we think today what we thought yesterday. They say
Yeah,
that we have about, I don't know how many, 60,000 thoughts a day, and
yeah.
90% of them are repeated from yesterday, and 80% of these are negative.
Hmm.
So basically, when we have the gratitudes, when we actually call out another kind of, another thought which is positive, which is grateful, we're basically breaking that pattern, and we're
Yeah,
able to start creating something else that wasn't necessarily there before. So I,
yeah,
I also definitely agree that the
yeah,
gratitude is so powerful, and I really like actually what you say about things in the past, things in the present, and things that are coming. It's beautiful.
yeah. I've got a section in here at the if I go okay, I'm jumping all over the place, but this specific gratitude journal, it's just every 10 days I get you to do exercises. So
Hmm.
before you even start day one, I've said contemplate gratitude. So I get you to do that every 10 days,
Yeah.
and basically ask you what does gratitude mean to me. When in my life have I felt immense gratitude? What feelings do I associate with the above, which is the immense gratitude? And what feelings do I associate specifically with gratitude? So, all that's designed to get you into a good feeling space because
Mm.
that's what life's about. I know we have days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months where we can fall into a negative space and into depression. And I know I've been guilty of it too. I've been in and out of depression most of my life, but I've
Mm.
started recognizing it. And now, when I know I'm getting sucked back into it, I just talk to my body and say, "Hey, bugger off." um, and then on each page, so this is one I started my using my journals in April. So at the bottom of I've got here your gratitude. You write your gratitude out here, and then
Hmm.
at the bottom, I've got today I am inspired too. So, what can I do today that's going to, again, raise your vibration, raise your feeling, make you feel good? What I started doing towards the end of last year, because I was writing all this out in pocket journals
Hmm.
and or pocket books, and I've got loads of them lying around because I've been doing this for years. And I woke up one day and I'm like, what can I do to inspire somebody or inspire myself today? And it was just little things. And it was, okay, I haven't sent Christmas cards for years. I'm going to write Christmas cards. Or I'm going to go and buy a calendar and I'm going to send that to somebody. I'm going to just do something nice for somebody. Or what can you do that's going to inspire you to be
Mm.
in a higher vibration during the course of the day? So that's for every single day. And then after every 10 days, you've got to contemplate gratitude. And then there's other exercises as well. So the first one is relationships. And I've got paste a picture of 4 people you are closest to and write 5 things you are most grateful about them. And then after the next 10 days, it's bursts of inspiration. So add inspirational words below that resonate with your gratitude journal. And then the next one, you've got recall 5 wonderful events in your life and how they made you feel. So it's not just a lined book. Not that there's anything wrong with lined books. Trust me, I've got about 30 packer books lying around. But it gives you, it's a journey. It's a journey
Indeed.
for over 90 days, and you do it every 90 days. So you pick something you want to focus on, and you just follow that journey every 90 days. And it gives you some kind of purpose. It gives you this, you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, great, I'm getting ready to focus on my day, to focus on my goal, to focus on what I want. And I've got the tools here to go ahead and do it. So,
And I think it ties in so beautifully into what you said about living in purpose, on purpose, because it really helps you to come out of the routine and the mundane and the whatever it is that you're doing. It actually makes you think very differently about every moment of your day.
yeah,
It's so nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know. I quite like them. So, um, the
Yeah.
last one I've got is the success planner, and
Yeah.
that's also so the two the vision journal and the success planner are the black, and the other ones are white.
Uh-huh.
And it's again got in the front. It's you've got your guide to using your planner,
Hmm.
and I actually have a poem that I wrote, which I've got in the front of mine, because every time I feel like I can't do something, I go and read my poem and remember that I wrote that. And it says never to utter those 2 words, I can't. So I have to remind myself to keep doing that.
Yeah.
It's also got a space in there for your goal in the front, and again um, at the back, what is my why? Yep. And then this one's got, at the beginning of the week, I've got a section here that says plan your week at the top
Uh-huh.
there.
Uh-huh.
So what I do on a Sunday is I write out everything I want to do during the week and then when I want to do it. And then I go and dump it onto the days of the weeks. But here again, you've got, on the one side, you've got your day, and it hasn't got times. It just says early morning, morning, midday, afternoon, evening. And then on the other side, I've got you to write your goal again. So, you don't have to use all of them. You can take one, you can take whatever. Write out your goal, contemplate your goal, or write your affirmations. Any ideas that spring to mind. So sometimes people like to do meditation and then they write down whatever's come to mind, um, wherever they write it down. So I've got it in the planner. I've got a section there that says must be done today. So what is your crucial things that you have to do today?
Mm.
And then I've got another section that says acknowledge your achievements. So basically, you can sit down at the end of the day and go through your day and go, okay, well, I did this. I actually sat down and worked on this project and I spent an hour doing it and it's done. So I can tick that off. Or you can write down what you want to achieve for the next day. But what I would do is I'll go on to the next day and I write, acknowledge my achievements as if I've already done it. So when I wake up in the morning, I can just go through and do what I need to do. And
And that
that's
is
also,
so helpful to so many people that actually have this, how to plan my day, not actually getting to the nice to haves and must haves and all of this. So it's
yeah,
definitely a very helpful tool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's basically my little. mini series which is available on Amazon. So
And so which so should people get all four of them? Should they what is the recommended usage?
well, I think it depends on what you want to do. I mean, for me, I use all four because I've got my vision journal. I have a book holder, so I've got my vision journal on my desk all day, open to the page where my goal is, what I want to see happen. When I'm writing my affirmations, I can see my vision journal there. I can see my goal. When I'm writing my gratitude, I can see my goal. And my success planner, I've got everything in there. I take that with me if I've got any notes or ideas, or even if I do, because sometimes I'm not going to fill my day with activities.
Mhm.
Um, so I might read something inspirational and I'll write it in my planner. So I know, I mean, yes, these are them all together. So that's it. It's like little workbooks.
Yeah.
So, and I quite like it. I have it on my desk. Um, it just depends. If you want to reprogram your subconscious beliefs, I would say go for the affirmation journal. I would say a vision journal is critical because it gives you a place to put your vision in and to carry it with you wherever you go. Affirmation journal is, I think if you want to start with the vision journal.
Hmm.
When you, for because I've been on doing this for quite a while, I have my system set up. But I know for sometimes it can be a little bit daunting when you're just starting out and you've got all these things that you think, oh, I've got to write this, I've got to write this. But then another client of mine said to me, what she likes about it is you can work on one, put it to the side, work on the next one, put it to the side, and you know it's done. Instead of
Hmm.
having just a blank sheet of paper and you writing and writing and writing and writing for hours, you know that you've got two sheets of paper specifically for your affirmation journal, but you
Hmm.
can do one section in the morning and then one section just before you go into bed. So then you don't feel like you're sitting there doing 45 minutes every day in one sitting. Maybe you
Right.
do 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening. So it just really depends on each individual person, but I would say definitely the vision journal because that's a starting point to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. I definitely I definitely recommend that too. I think it's so interesting how we can really get caught up in this idea that we have no control over our lives and we're victims. Victimhood is definitely one of the main our main enemies, our own self enemies, and using this kind of thing to really help us to see that really we were not put on this earth to being mediocre and to not
Yeah.
do and to just wish our lives away. So
Yeah.
actually, this is such a wonderful tool to help us recognize that we can do things differently. We can get out of the sofa, get off the sofa, and start
Yeah.
doing and planning and creating a life that we really want to create.
Yeah. Being actively making a decision
Yeah,
and being actively involved in the creation of your own life. And that is what it is. It is your own life, and you have the people around you, but it's still your own life, you know.
yeah,
So, yeah, I think
it's
it's
beautiful. So I
phenomenal.
really hope that the people listening that they take a moment to think about which of these journals, maybe the vision, as you say, maybe the others, can help them because I know from conversations with my clients for sure that we all have this very similar challenges, right? How to get through the day, how to have this motivation, the focus, the clarity of what we want to do and where we want to get to, and also more specifically on the days where it doesn't feel like it's going the way that we want. So
Mm,
to get that boost to say, actually, you are on the journey and
mm.
just stick with it because you are in it. It will get better. It will get
Yeah,
to the way that you want with all this affirmation and the gratitude.
yeah. I've had a couple of people have come back to me and said to me that, what they found is it's actually brought order to their minds.
Mm.
I've got one lady who's using my success planner, and I know I'm blowing my own trumpet here, but she's literally raving about it and saying it's the best thing since sliced bread. And she dumps everything in there,
Yeah,
and she finds that she's a lot more productive during the day. So, and that's always nice to hear because sometimes when you're working on something, you're thinking, okay, but I just think, yeah, it's just so nice to get that feedback, to know that it's helping people in positive ways, which is really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think more than helping, I think it's actually creating something that wasn't there before. It's really
yeah,
it's quite massive, and I'm so pleased that that you shared with us all this, the journals and what they're for, and what is behind and beyond them. So I really hope that people will go and look at the Amazon link that we were going to share after the conversation, and
yeah.
create these results for themselves. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on here. It's been really good.
Yes, it's been amazing. Thank you so much, Sally. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I really enjoyed learning more about the journals and how they got started, and
Yeah,
what they're actually going to bring into the world. I definitely believe
yeah,
in ripple effects as well, so that when one person is changing their lives, other people will change theirs as well, all for the
I
better.
know. It's the connection, that's the energetic connection that goes out there. So it's
Yeah,
it's
and
phenomenal.
and you're doing such an incredible thing to get it started. So that's really incredible.
Thank you. Thanks,
Yeah.
Aina.
And that brings us very nicely to the end of the conversation. So, Sally, thank you so much again for being here. We will share all of your links later on in the chat. And if anyone has any questions, then of course, welcome to put them around this post, and let's have a conversation as always. Thank you so much, Sally.
Thank you, Aina. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.